We're going to start in Russia because just in the last hour or so, we've seen the first pictures of President Vladimir Putin making a TV appearance. This is the first time we've seen him since that alleged attempt on his life. Let's take a look at these pictures. I should point out these are released by the Kremlin. This is a fairly routine-looking meeting there with his economic development minister. The message pretty obvious there, I'm sure, business as usual. Now, just to remind you, Russia claims that Ukraine was targeting President Putin in a drone attack on the Kremlin on Wednesday. We can take a look at these pictures of that alleged attack. The allegation, too, that this was following the orders of the United States. Both Ukraine and the US have denied any involvement whatsoever. Russia launched a series of air raids on Kyiv overnight in apparent retaliation. But authorities say all the strikes were intercepted by air defences. And you can see these air defences actually working here in these pictures. Strikes also reported Zaporizhia and Odessa too. Well, our Russia editor, Steve Rosenberg, has been monitoring the Russian response to all this.
Well, the Kremlin continues to claim that this was a Ukrainian drone attack. But today it went one step further and suggested that America was actually behind the explosions over the Kremlin, without providing any evidence, really, to back that up. So President Putin's spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, he told journalists this. He said that decisions about such actions, such terrorist attacks, he said, are made not in Kyiv but in Washington. And he maintained that it was America that chose the targets for Ukraine. Time for some context. The Kremlin likes to blame America for the war in Ukraine. Russia often accuses the West of waging war against Russia on the territory of Ukraine. This is basically part of the parallel reality created by Moscow about what is happening there. But it's important to keep in mind that in reality, in February 2022, it was President Putin who ordered the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Meanwhile, in a statement, Russia's foreign ministry claimed that the sabotage activities of the Ukrainian armed forces were gaining unprecedented momentum, and it added that Russia reserves the right to take retaliatory measures.
So thanks to Steve for that update there from Moscow. We're going to look at Ukraine now because President Vladimir Zelensky has been on one of his rare trips outside of Ukraine, and he's called for a fully fledged tribunal to hold Russia accountable for its war of aggression against Ukraine. Now, he made those comments in a speech after visiting the International Criminal Court. Has symbolic importance, of course, coming less than 2 months after the ICC issued that arrest warrant for Vladimir Putin on war crimes charges. Right, let's take a listen now to what Zelensky had to say.
Lasting peace after victory is achieved by nothing else but the strength of values. First of all, it's the strength of freedom and of law, which must work to the full of ensure justice, not hybrid promises instead of human rights, real freedom, not hybrid impunity and symbolic formalities, but full-scale justice, not hybrid peace and constant flashes of violence on the front line, but reliable peace when one respects values. True freedom, true justice, true peace is respected instead of hybrid forms. But it's exactly what we need now.
So that was President Zelensky speaking in the last few hours.